Congressman Thomas Massie has been the champion of this idea of the Prime Act, which actually he launched right here on it during a wagon tour on Polyface years and years ago. Some people would argue, well, this is so incremental. Actually, it's big. And so in America, there are three kinds of slaughter regulations. One is federal inspected. You got to go to a federal inspected slaughterhouse. It comes back with a blue buzz on it, USDA inspected, and you can sell it anywhere in the world. Second one is state inspected. And only about half the states have a state inspected program. And it comes back state inspected, and you can sell that anywhere in the state. You can't send it out of the state inspected. Not very many states have that. And the third one is custom. Custom is where you take it to a slaughterhouse, and they process it for you. And this includes, so the law, what's interesting, this is the loophole that a lot of people have used over time. Have you ever heard about somebody selling freezer beef, where you could go get a half, a whole, a quarter, that sort of thing. And the law is an animal of your raising. Well, what is an animal of your raising? And so essentially the government has allowed that if a name goes in on that animal before slaughter, so that it's owned by somebody before slaughter, then they're not going to police how long the person owned it. 1 minute, a year, they're not going to police that. It's too hard. So that's what many people have used to be able to sell beef to their neighbors. Is this, so they go in, steer number 5 is owned by, the left half is owned by, Jane Doe. The right half is, the front quarter is owned by, Jim Smith, and the back quarter is owned by, Ann Smith, okay? And that's the way they've sold it. And that's the way many of us have sold beef for a long time. What the Prime Act does, but that meat comes back, every package is stamped, not for sale. In other words, you can't have that processed and then sell a T-bone steak off of it to a neighbor, to a friend. That's illegal. It's stamped not for sale. What the Prime Act would do is it would give states that want to, it doesn't mandate anything. It just says that if a state would like to allow custom processed meat to be sold, then they can do that. It doesn't sound like much, but it's huge, because if this passed for the first time in a century, a person could actually go to a neighborhood custom processing facility, which, there are a lot more of them than federal inspected and state inspected, to a local custom slaughter facility, butcher a beef or a hog, and then a neighbor could come over and buy a pound of ground meat, a ribeye steak, and they don't have to spend with the way it is currently, the smallest amount a person can buy, they're out $1,000. Well, a lot of people don't have $1,000 sitting around. And the cost of getting that stamp on it increases because of HACCP plans, regulations, inspector bathrooms, inspector offices, and all these things. That adds some 30% to the processing cost, which can be as much as a couple $100 per animal, which can be $50 a quarter, which can be substantial, 50 cents a pound difference. So the Prime Act would enable a custom slaughterhouse, an animal that's slaughtered at a custom slaughterhouse comes back, it would enable to be sold by the piece to neighbors. Oh, you get a McDonald's hamburger and as many as 600 different animals are in that one hamburger. When you get custom ground beef, it comes from one animal, and the farmer because there's a relationship, and so it becomes self-vetting. If I may add to, I don't think Thomas Massie's ever said this, but I'll say it. It's kind of Uberizing our food system. It's creating authentic self-vetting by the customer and the producer to be able to engage in a transaction without a bureaucrat involved.